And joining me now for more is Ari Ratner, fellow at the Truman National Security Project. Ari, thank you so much for joining us. Talk to us about the timing of the Syrian government's apparent willingness to meet. Last year at the UN, the same foreign minister was adamant that Syria would fight till the very end.
Well, I think there's an old saying that actions speak louder than words, and the words may have changed today, but the reality is that the actions haven't. The Syrian government continues to kill its own people, recently firing Scud missiles on civilian targets in northern Syria. It is certainly a ploy, most likely, that they made a statement today in advance of the meetings in Rome. They're clearly trying to diminish international pressure. They're clearly trying to get on the news cycle across the world, but the reality is nothing in their position has formally changed. The opposition still hasn't been formally notified even of this desire to talk, and even if these talks were to be held, it's not clear that the Syrian government has anything meaningful to offer.
John Kerry has added Moscow to his list of countries to visit during this tour overseas. Do you think anything will come out of that meeting regarding Syria when he meets with Sergei Lavrov?
Well, I think it's important to realize that Russia is a very complicated country, and we have a number of relationships and a number of issues we deal with them. In terms of Syria in particular, most likely nothing particular or concrete will come out of this, but it's very important from an American perspective to continue diplomacy with Russia and with China on this issue. And Secretary Kerry will have an opportunity to continue that while in Moscow.
Kerry has also said that Mualim should not be taken seriously, and this sort of what seems to be an olive branch should not be taken seriously. Do you think this is a way for the Syrian government to maybe shake up the opposition, shake up the various factions to see where they stand and how they would handle this?
Well, I think the reality is if the Syrian government wants to be taken seriously, it has that opportunity. It can immediately cease its hostile activities against its own citizens. Everyone in the world would take that very seriously immediately, and they've made no willingness to do that. To be taken seriously, they're going to have to do more than words. They're going to have to stop violence from their side. What their motives are in announcing this today, no one can be sure. I'm sure they're trying to figure out who the opposition is and where they stand. They're trying to pressure the international community, but the reality is it won't work.
Well, let's take it across the other side. Depending on how this is handled, will this request, if you will, create more tension between the international community and Syria's opposition, who already feels it's being abandoned by the international community?
Well, there certainly is some tension. You saw that play out today in the interaction between the Syrian National Council and Secretary Kerry. And understandably, the Syrian National Council wants more support from the United States and the international community. And I think that will likely be forthcoming in the months, hopefully even sooner, ahead. But it's a very difficult issue, and there's no silver bullet to solving it. And that tension will continue as long as this horrific situation continues.
Okay, Ari Ratner, thank you so much for your time this evening. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.